and welcome to jasonnewland.com and my plastic bottle of water that's just heckled me. So, my name's Jason Newland. This is Let Me Bore You to Sleep. Vinny's cuddled up next to me. It's very warm, aren't you, Vinny? He's all cuddled up. You cuddled up next to your daddy? Yes, you are. What was I gonna say? Please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. And this is... Well, I didn't get an opportunity to do a Trivia Tuesday. So this is going to be a Trivia Thursday. Ba, ba, ba. I thought I'd just... Why not? Why not indeed? I got the day off today, kind of. So I did already do a recording earlier on. But on this recording, I'm not even going to mention... I'm not going to mention any sausages or anything like that. I'm going to focus on the recording. Oh yes. So what I thought I would do is, as it's Trivia Thursday instead of Trivia Tuesday, I'm going to find a particularly weird subject, very obscure, as it were, and I'm going to focus on animals on trial. Animals on trial. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Or could you feel that excitement and energy as I sung that? It was like I was on a big stage with guitars and drums and a big microphone and a glitzy suit. You know, obviously showed my midsection of muscles. Yeah. Oh. Actually, I've been having problems with my upper back muscles. And yesterday and today I did some bench presses, and it seems to have kind of helped. So I'm going to do that every day, and it just, I don't know, who knows why, but maybe it's because the last month I've done hardly any exercise, I've done hardly any weights, I've done more walking, but I haven't done, because normally I do weights every day for my lower back, which probably helps with my upper back, and I've done hardly anything pretty much in the weight department. So yesterday and today I've done some bench presses with my dumbbells, and actually, it's strange, but I can kind of, it feels a bit better. My back feels better for doing that. Who knows why, but I'm not gonna moan about it. I'm just gonna enjoy it. So I feel my upper back feels better than it did. So I will continue to do that every day. I'm only doing like 30 or 40 reps. It's not heavy. Because technically I was thinking, if you can do a push-up, press-up, push-up, whatever you want to call it, technically I should be able to bench press my own weight. Because that's what you're doing when you do a press-up, isn't it? Or a push-up. It's your own weight against yourself. So technically I should be able to bench press 95 kilos or whatever I am, should be able to do that easy. Well, yeah, should. Surely. Yeah, so it's £200, 200 and something pounds, so I should be able to do that. That shouldn't be hard at all. So really, I suppose £300 technically I should be able to do. It's been years since I even bothered with a bench press, like as in a bench press machine. And I never really enjoyed doing the free weights bench presses in the gym, like in a proper gym. When I was younger, or at any age really, partly because when I was a kid, I'd do it, and I'd always choose to bench press machines if there was other people around. Even just doing curls, arm curls, it was a little bit. Just didn't feel comfortable doing it because there'd always be someone coming around pumping up the weights and putting on bigger weights than the ones I was using, showing off and stuff, or just they were stronger possibly as well, and I was never really into that. So I'd be in the gym on my own, doing my own little thing when I was like a kid, I don't know, 14, and all the tough kids from the year below or whatever would all be in there, and they'd all be like trying to outdo each other, and they'd all have bigger muscles than me, and generally be bigger than me because I was quite small for my age, very small for my age. And they didn't show me any disrespect, but it felt a little bit like, oh, okay. If I was standing there next to them doing only like 20% of the weights they were doing, that would make me look silly. Doing like an arm curl with a barbell, and then they come along and they'd like doing, I don't know what I would have been doing back then, £3 or something, I don't know, and they'd be coming and doing these big weights, and I'm like, okay, that was bad enough. But then as an adult, it seemed to be the only people that were doing free weights, which is just where you put the weights on the end of the bars rather than using the machines. The only people that seem to be doing the free weights are the huge people, the ones, the bodybuilders types. And I was always going to look really, really silly next to them. I mean, there was one bloke who was so big, this when I was like in my 20s, he was so big and muscular, I stood next to him and I disappeared. No one could see me. Because it was just, in comparison, I was invisible. I realised I'd fallen down a hole. But it was not the most enjoyable experience being around people like that. But then I went to a proper bodybuilding gym. Not on purpose. I mean, I didn't think it was a hairdresser's or kebab shop. I did notice a gym. But this was different because the other gyms I've been in have always been like public, general gyms. Even now, the ones where just anyone goes, maybe they're open 24 hours a day and you've got a little security key and stuff, and you still get the young lads sort of showing off their muscles and stuff like that, which is, that's what I would have done if I'd ever been able to. If I'd ever had the muscles to do that with. But then when I was in Stratford, I went into an actual bodybuilder's gym, and it was run by a former Mr. Universe, Wilf Sylvester. And that was a different experience, because although there was huge people training there, none of them were arrogant. None of them were showing off, because they were all big. It was a weird one. It's like you had, they didn't have to, I guess they were competing with each other, as in, for competitions and stuff, but you had some people just going in there just to train, like me, and it's basically that, and then you had these massive, super fit men and women who were athletes. And I've never been an athlete. Never been one of them. I can't even spell the word. Let's try. AFTLEEEET. Oh yeah, I can. But that for some reason felt like a more safer space, because the man running it didn't take no crap. It was lovely, very friendly, but at the same time, that was his dream, to own his own gym. So he worked for years, decades, as a bodybuilder, and working for the Ford car company in Dagenham, I think. They sponsored him in his bodybuilding career. So he travelled the world, doing bodybuilding contests and stuff. And then when he retired from bodybuilding, maybe he retired from the car as well, and he went and opened the gym when he was probably, I'm guessing, probably in his 40s, early 40s. And in the window of this gym, I used to walk past it for years. Never went in there. Well, I did go in there eventually, but, for years I walked past it. And there was this cardboard cutout of him. I didn't know who he was, Wilf Sylvester, even though I used to be really into bodybuilding when I was at school, as in reading the magazines and wishing upon a star, basically. I thought if I kept reading the magazines, my muscles would grow. It didn't happen. So I knew quite a lot about bodybuilding. The main people back then, like Lee Haney, Rich Gaspari, lots of different ones back then. There was Al Beckles, who was about 90 years old then, and now he's 150, and he's still going strong. And he was in the top 10, I think, of the Mr. Olympia. The oldest ever top 10 placement in the Mr. Olympia, and I think then he was like 48, maybe even 50, maybe 50, maybe higher than 50, because he's in his 90s now, and this was not 1985, 84, 85, because I used to take the bodybuilding magazines. I think one was called Flex. It was definitely called Flex. Another one was, I think, Bodybuilding Monthly. So I used to take them into school and read them while I was in classroom. So it was between those magazines and the martial arts magazines. I also like the boxing magazines, like KO. That was a boxing magazine I like to read. And then the martial arts magazines was... You'd think I'd remember that one, wouldn't you? What was the martial arts magazine? Kung Fu Panda, not Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Karate. No. That'll come to me. I can search for it. I can search, can't I? But I can't be bothered. I I've got the laptop in front of me, but I want to try and see if my memory perhaps works slightly. No, I can't remember. Oh no, nearly had it. It wasn't Kung Fu. Was it martial arts? It might have been called martial arts. Kicking, punching, blocking, fighting. It's some kind of name. It had a name anyway. And there's a specific one I used to buy every month. Or was it weekly? I think it was every month. At least, yeah, I think it was. It might have been fortnightly. No, I can't remember what it was called. But those were the types of magazines that I used to read. Well, they're the ones I'd read in public. I'm the only person that actually had a pot. It's weird. I was a little bit embarrassed about reading bodybuilding magazines, so I'd have them. So when I was at school, because those desks that you can open up, and they're like wooden desks and they're open and you can put stuff inside. Don't know if you've ever seen those. That's like from decades ago. I'm not sure if they still exist. Well, I used to hide my magazines and read them with that up, or I'd put it on top, and I didn't want other people to know that I was reading bodybuilding magazines, so what I do is hide it inside a copy of Playboy, and it seemed to do the trick. Or Penthouse, whichever one whatever I managed to find in the bushes. When I say bushes, I mean like real. Okay, let's just move on. So, talking about bushes, had the trimmer round. It's really weird. They trimmed everything except one bit, and as we come out the front of where I live, we've got this big hedge, this big bush, but they haven't trimmed it off of the pavement, which means you can't see around it. I know technically I've never been able to see around corners, but I can't see what's coming. I can't see what's, it's like really, because when I take this little munchkin out for a walk, I like to, I said the word, did he hear it? He didn't seem to notice. Good. I think he's asleep. I can't quite see what's coming to the left of me. But they haven't trimmed it back yet. So, this, what was I talking about then? Oh yeah, I like that. That was a good gym. Had a punch bag as well. So Wilf was cool. I got on really well with him. I'd stop and I'd chat with him, and I didn't really get to know him till I think 96. So from 96 to about 2001, I knew him, like to talk to and to chat to, and he'd be outside and I'd just have a chat with him. Really nice bloke. I used to go in there with my cousin in about 96, and I think she fancied his son. Yeah, I think she did. Yeah, she did, yeah, because his son used to be a trainer as well. And it was weird, he was so down to earth, such a nice bloke, Wilf. And I'd go in there, sometimes it'd just be him there on his own, and we'd sort of train together. I mean, I say train together, he'd kind of give me training tips. I mean, I wouldn't even be able to spot for him. So if he was lifting free weights and he was doing a bench press, I'd be no good, So if he'd like, oh wait a minute, because if you don't know, spotting is basically you're there to help the person with the weights if it's too much, if they've done too much and you need help. I couldn't help him with his weights. I couldn't lift them. If you can't lift them, what the hell am I going to do? You're former Mr. Universe. So, I didn't help him. But we used to have a go on the punch bag and hold the punch bag and stuff like that for each other. just, it was a really, really nice bloke. I liked him a lot. So, I did a whole recording on him, actually, a few years ago. Animals on Trial. So these are medieval legal oddities. From the 13th to the 18th century in Europe, animals were routinely tried in secular courts for crimes, just like people. Wow. You know what? Do you know when people like call ourselves, people in the West call ourselves first world countries, and how and make fun and maybe like talk about other countries being so outdated, and it's not that long ago that people in my country and all over Europe were taking animals to court. And bearing in mind that, those countries are the ones that went and, spread to other countries. So I'm sure this stuff probably also went on in America, possibly went on in Australia as well. So, yeah, wow. So, pigs topped the list. Pigs. Why do pigs get such a hard time? Pigs topped the list of offenders due to free roaming pigs, often causing problems, maybe hurting people accidentally or damaging property. I'm going to water down some of the stuff that it says here. So I just should point out, I've got this list from chatgpt.com. Don't take any of it as true. And I'm gonna make it, if there's anything that's a little bit horrible, I'm gonna either not mention it, or I will make it more palatable. Okay? Yeah, pigs do get a bad time. And the amount of people say, oh, don't eat pig, it's a dirty animal. Name a clean one. Name one clean animal, including humans. None are clean. We have points when we are clean. I'm sure a pig is clean when it's been raining and it's been rolling around in the rain and the mud. But you know what I mean. In 1379. So pigs that unfortunately caused a lot of problems for a particular man in France were tried. Even in court, even pigs who merely witnessed. Really? Even pigs who merely witnessed the incident were judged guilty. Wow. That's mind-blowing, isn't it? So one thing, charging a pig because it stampeded or whatever, and it got out of hand and it caused serious problems for someone, but because other pigs were just minding their own business, just sitting there eating a human roll, a human sandwich with some eggs, and they had nothing to do with it. They were just watching. So they're going to get in trouble as well. That doesn't seem fair. Some pigs were found guilty and sentenced to the worst sentence for eating a consecrated host. A consecrated host? Eating a I don't know what that means. Friday was a serious aggravation. I don't even know what that means. What's a consecrated host? Not just so, but a sow, and she-ass. Is that really the name of a female pig? A she-ass. She-ass, she-ass. Sounds more like a donkey, doesn't it? She-ass, she-ass. A sow and a she-ass were condemned to be... they were condemned on appeal, but on appeal they were... I'm not going to read this out. They basically were condemned to the worst punishment, but in the end they had a lesser punishment. So they really were being treated like humans. Dolphins were tried in Marseilles in 1596. Dolphins. What on earth can a dolphin do? I'm going to have a drink. A Swiss town's donated moose was believed demonic. Townspeople... I can't... Some of this is horrible. I tell you what, this medieval people... Not nice. This really... I'm glad we've got laws now. And this is when we had laws. But, anyway, I just want to say the sentence, a Swiss town's donated moose was believed demonic. Demonic. Okay. Weasels, horses, eels, bulls, dogs, sheep, even rats and locusts faced trials in medieval Europe. Even locusts. You would think, wouldn't you? I'm just thinking possibly. So you've got a locust, one locust. All the hassle. I mean, how did that even go? How many people were involved in the trial? Another question comes to mind. How much time did these people have on their hands to be taking a rat to trial? Or an eel? An eel? I wonder what that got in trouble for. Trial records show that all this stuff was going on, and it persisted into the mid-18th century, where they were actually sentenced to perish, all the way to the mid-18th century, and in some cases early 20th century. I tell you, if I was living somewhere and suddenly a chicken was on trial, I would move. I would move as soon as possible. Oh, this is something, this is something I actually believe, because this is such a kind of human stupidity that, I could just imagine that this is true. So back in 1474, in Basel, a rooster was prosecuted for laying an extra large egg. An extra large egg, because this rooster in 1474 was deemed unnatural and demonic. Wow. And you know, there's probably still people today who still believe that. Ooh. They're the ones that need to be up for court. They need to be in court being judged and being sentenced People that believe stuff like that. Wow. Not the rooster. Absolutely ridiculous. And now the internet's just gone off. Brilliant. Great. Why has it gone off? There was no need for that. Okay, I got it back. I don't know why. Oh, I think I just pressed the wrong button. I pressed the wrong button. It's not the first time. At least I'm able to find the button now. Ecclesiastic excommunications, vermin courts in brackets. Okay, here we go. Courts enrolled insects, rats, locusts, and weevils as defendants in ecclesiastic trials. I mean, it's all ridiculous, but insects. But then that's no more ridiculous than rats or locusts or weevils. I don't know what a weevil is. But it's one thing prosecuting an animal, because, you know, technically they can just sit there and be accused and just keep quiet. They don't necessarily have to do anything, and it's maybe up to the lawyer to do a defence. But a defendant has to kind of talk, don't they? So how? Ah, how? This is just weird. In 1587, weevils. Again, I don't know what a weevil is. Is it like a weasel? I don't know. V-shaped weasel. In St. Julian, France, were presented by a lawyer argued to have divine protection. Okay. I'm not quite sure what divine protection is, but I'm guessing it's quite a good thing to have, maybe. I mean, divine protection, it sounds like something that you'd quite want to have, isn't it? More powerful than a seatbelt, possibly. Oh, that's something in my eye. Oh, no, I haven't. Right, what's next? It's hard to have any commentary on this because the sentences are just ridiculous in themselves. The judge ruled in absentia. Final verdict: lost to time, destroyed by rats or bugs. Okay. Excommunication, anathema, was used to banish pets rather than kill them. That's good. That's nice. So animals were excommunicated. I mean, that's just assuming that the rats and the bugs and the ants and all that stuff that were in the church were there to pray for the sermon, as opposed to maybe that's where they lived. Mind you, got to be pretty proud of yourself, and you be pretty popular if not just the humans turn up at your sermon, but all the animals flock in as well. It's the new Noah. Maybe. Court ordered locusts to depart a region Oh dear. Okay. Courts ordered locusts to depart a region by a certain date and time or face excommunication. How? What did they put up signs? They send a letter in the post, send an email. I mean, what? What? Maybe it was a Facebook group, Locusts Facebook group, and they just posted it on there. You've got to be out of here by this time, otherwise you're going to be excommunicated. I didn't think that. I didn't think that religions back in them days believed that insects got to go to heaven anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. In 1545, public prayers were held to coerce weevils away. Miraculously, the infestation ended. It just shows you that it works, doesn't it? So stop mocking it. Stop mocking all these. And I'm trying to educate you. Let me educate you. I'm trying to teach you something. Stop mocking some of the greatest factual facts of our history. Legal principles and implications. Animal trials treated creatures as moral agents, capable of intent. Yeah, I find animals can be crafty. Vinny is very crafty. He knows what he wants, and he will pretend to do stuff to get there. So he'll pretend to be eating something off the floor because he's waiting to see what the dog is coming closer, to see what kind of dog it is. He's very, very crafty. I actually saw him once, and he was like pretending, because he didn't want to leave the park. So what he was doing, I was chucking the ball. This is when I was able to let him off the lead. So I was chucking the ball nearer to the exit of the park, so that he'd run and get it, and then eventually I just put him on the lead and we'll go out. He was grabbing it, and instead of bringing it back to me, he ran right past me and he dropped it further in the park, because he knew I was trying to get him away from the park. I've literally seen him, right? I've chucked food on the floor for him to try and find. And what he does is, once he's found it, he chews it and he looks up at me for the next one. On this particular occasion, I could see where it went, but he didn't see where it went, and he couldn't find it. He ran in a completely different direction. He pretended to eat a treat and then looked at me ready for the next one. He hadn't eaten anything. He just pretended. And I could see the treat. I could see the treat on the floor, and I could also see all the grass was short. I don't know how he missed it, to be fair, but there was nothing there. He was just pretending to eat it because he couldn't be bothered to search for the other one. Devious. Judges and clergy genuinely applied human justice to animals. Not all satire or folklore. Wow. Legal records from France are some of the best preserved. That's nice, great. Cases raised foundational questions. If animals can be guilty, must they also have rights? Ba 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 ba. That's a good point, isn't it? Yeah, if someone must abide by the law, then surely they must be part of society. So you'd think they'd have equal rights to society like everyone else in it. Trials blurred lines between superstition, theology, and secular law. It's the thing is, theology, religion, belief systems, a lot of it comes from superstition anyway. So, believing in something that you can't prove and believing in it, that's almost kind of, isn't that the meaning of superstition? So, I don't know. Yeah. I like to call it stupid stition. So I'm not superstitious. I actually sat on a bus with someone I was on a bus with, like travelling together. There was other people on the bus as well. She saw, what's those birds that steal stuff? Not Goldilocks. Not hens. Sparrows, blackbirds, blue tits, red tits, yellow tits, big, what was it called? What are they called? The ones not wrens, not falcons, sparrows. Those birds that you're supposed... Anyway, she saw these two birds together and she got up and she saluted out of the window. We was on a bus and she stood up, faced towards the window to where these two birds were, and she saluted. It's among the most embarrassing moments of my life. I just thought, you know what? That is... It became a passion of mine to not have any superstitions after that, because it was ridiculous. The idea of... Because I used to be a bit superstitious, mainly because my life was so rubbish at a time when I was like a kid, when I was like a late teenager, 16 or whatever, and then people would say, well, don't walk on the cracks on the floor, on the ground, the cracks in the pavement or the concrete, because that's bad luck or whatever. And I thought, well, I don't want any worse luck than what's happening already, so I would try to avoid it. Things like that, and I started to kind of buy into some of that crap. And then as I got older, I become more educated and realised that it's just absolute nonsense, obviously, but also realising that belief, that stuff can have an effect on people, because belief is super powerful, one of the most powerful things that we have. That's why having a lucky object, a lucky token, or a lucky souvenir or whatever, in itself does nothing, but to a person's mind can do everything. So if a person really believes that by having that lucky, I don't know, lucky condom in their pocket, lucky used condom in their pocket, they might actually, or hanging off their ear, it might help them with their university exam, or it might give them more confidence on a first date. wearing your lucky set of underpants, the ones that you've been wearing for 35 years. Why don't you wash them? No, that'd wash out the luck. The luck's in the dirt. If they're so lucky, how come you never ever get a second date? Don't want to talk about it. So it's weird though, isn't it? You know when you got like a really, really, you got a lucky thing. I remember I had this. What did I have? I had this lucky little mouse. It was a wooden mouse, and I had it. And it had a little tail. It was wooden, and that was my lucky charm. And I'd go on dates, and I was telling people, like my friends, that's my lucky charm. And I'd take it on all my dates, and they said, "Well, how come no one wants to see you again afterwards?" And I said, "Don't know." Well, I started leaving at home. It turned out it was my personality. Nothing, it was because I started to think maybe it was bad luck for me, but it wasn't. It was just my personality that was stopping people from wanting to see me again. I remember I went to the cinema with someone. I was 16 at the time, I think. Maybe 17, 16-ish, maybe 15, even 16. I think 16. I don't remember the girl that I went to the cinema with. I asked her to go to the cinema and she said yes, for some reason. All I know is I thought she liked me. We sat down to watch the movie. All I did was put my hand on her knee. Literally, it was like just gently. I didn't like plonk it down. I wasn't wearing a big heavy metal glove or anything like that. A gauntlet. It wasn't anything weird. It was just put my hand on her knee. I guess trying to be romantic. Even though there's no enjoyment for me putting my hand on a knee. I don't get anything out of that. Never have. Never. It's like bone, isn't it? Oh, how did you get on last night? Oh, I felt one of her bones. It was lovely. Oh. That's no. It's like, oh, maybe tomorrow she'll blow on me. I can get to smell her breath after she's eaten some garlic. Oh, that'll be good. Oh. No, it's like it was a bone, a knee's not a... I suppose some people like knees, but it is just a bit of gristle, isn't it, ultimately? It's nothing... Ugh. I've never looked at a knee and thought, oh, yeah, oh, never happened. Oh, I can't concentrate on anything. It's just, there's a knee, cover your knee up, I can't concentrate. Yeah. Well, that was the end of my paramedic career. But hey, it's good to find out in training, isn't it? That I had a thing for knees. No, I don't. I just I didn't know how to act back then. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the correct way to be on a first date was. I was a teenager, and there was no training for that stuff. No training whatsoever, and it's guesswork. I guess it still is. I mean, I haven't had a date for a long time. Long time. So long that I cannot remember the last time I went on a date. Yes, I can. The last time I went on a date, or I actually went somewhere. There's a date, it doesn't have to mean going somewhere, does it? So, I had a friend come round here once, and that wasn't really a date, was it? Someone that I kind of knew a bit. I did have a date with someone that spent all week talking to her on the phone, and she's someone that I'd known for a while, and she was talking about having babies, and we were talking about building a life together, which is kind of weird. I don't know. It felt like things were going quite well, and then I go around to see her on Sunday, and it was almost like it was a different person. It was like there was nothing there. There was no, like, she wasn't human. It's weird. Not in a bad way. There's no good way to say that, is there? But it seemed like she was, like there was nothing there inside. She looked the same, but a little bit like, Body Snatchers. Remember the Body Snatchers movies? It was a little bit like that. That's what she looked like. Like she just, I don't what? Strange. So I spent the afternoon with her, and she gave me soup. Soup. That was my dinner, soup. A growing lad of 40. You don't give a growing lad of 41 or 42, whatever I was, soup. You don't give someone who's 59 soup. That's not a dinner. It's a drink. I mean, it's a starter for a reason, isn't it? Although I wouldn't have soup as a starter. I think if I was going to have a starter, it'd be, I don't know what choices. Oh, it's made me hungry now. I really do need to have a meal one day. Oh, what would be a good starter? I took Uncle Sausage's my tomato ketchup yesterday, and now I've got no tomato ketchup. Damn him. Damn it. Yeah, so, and there was at one point, and I'm just sitting there with her in her flat, this lady that I thought there was something going on between us, and it was flat. Like the energy was like no energy there. There was a bit of energy, but not from her side. And I didn't know what to do. It was just really weird. There was, yeah. In the end, I just left. Well, I had to leave eventually, didn't I? Otherwise, I couldn't make this podcast. 15 years later. It's very strange. But anyway, I touched, you know, when I was a kid myself, I touched this, the knee of the person I was in the cinema with, and she picked my hand up and dropped it back on my lap, my hand. That's when I realised, first of all, well, either, it was one or two really. Well, first of all, we were never going to get married, me and that lady. Secondly, the girl I went to the cinema with was sitting on the other side of me. Oh, yeah, I touched the wrong knee. No, it didn't work. It just like, wow. To the point that I've kind of almost erased who she was. I don't know who she was. I can't remember. Such a long time ago. What was I talking about? Oh, really bad dates. I don't know why. That wasn't a bad date. It was just like a non-date. Another one I got on. This is a thing. I had this when I worked in a co-op. I had a female walk into the shop, and I was behind the counter. So I was in there every day. Well, 5-6 days a week or whatever. She walked in, handed me a note, looked me in the eyes, and then walked out. She knew my name. So I had a name badge on and stuff. So I read it, and she said how lovely I was, and she really fancied me. Bearing in mind, she was seeing me during the day. So it's not like she was seeing me at night when the lighting was good, and it made me look human. She saw me during the daytime, and it was all romantic. "Oh, I really like you, and I see you every day, and I'd love to sort of get together." And she wrote down a telephone number and her address and a name. So I called her up, because I thought anyone that does that deserves. I thought I'd see her, because they deserve to be rejected in person. No, anyone that goes to that effort deserves not to be ignored, because that's a be old thing to do, isn't it? To like go to that effort and to walk up to someone like that. So I phoned her up in the morning the next day. I think it was a Saturday morning. So I did it wrong. Well, I didn't do it wrong. I mean, I didn't try and use my knees to dial the phone. I phoned everything like normal. That's when we used to have those turny phones, spiral things. I used to like them. And she invited me round. So I went round. She was in the middle of getting ready for probably work, actually. So she was getting ready to go to, I think she probably had a retail job herself in town. And she was doing her hair, and it was like there was nothing to talk about. It was the wrong scenario for us to get to know each other. While she was drying her hair, and I was just sitting there on the edge of her bed. Honestly, it was so awkward that in the end I just said see ya, and I literally said bye, and I never saw her again. She never came back in the supermarket. I never saw her again. It could have been a lovely marriage. We could have had kids and everything, It could have been, coulda, woulda, But for some reason, I just, I mean, basically, the ball was in my court, wasn't it? Almost, it was like this was a. It was really. I was in a good position. She told me she liked me. She'd wrote a letter to me. So all I had to do really is just be there. Just turn up. But not when she's getting ready. Not, that's just a weird time to be going around someone's house. Especially when I had to get to work. And also going around their house probably wasn't a good idea. I mean, she invited me, but it would have been, unless I just turned up. No, she invited me. If we'd have gone out and got to know each other, it might have been, well, it couldn't have been worse than what it was. And then there's another woman, another lady. I asked her out. She worked in an in a travel agency. I asked her out in front of all her friends, her colleagues. I don't know where I got the confidence to do that, but I did it. I'd met her before, a couple of nights before, because she broke down in a car, and me and my friend came to her rescue. So my friend was driving, I was a passenger, and we got talking to her, and she'd said where she worked, and I just popped in to say hello, and I asked her out on a date, and she said yes. So instead of saying, brilliant, okay, what's your number? And then leaving, which is what I should have done. I should have just left. No, that's not what I did. I settled in for the afternoon, and I didn't stop talking for probably 2 hours, talking to the other members of staff, being silly, being very childish, because I was very childish. Hard to believe that I was ever childish. Yeah, let me think, maybe it isn't. After about 3 hours, she said to me, "I've changed my mind." Because we were just going to go to the cinema. That's all it was. She changed her mind. I said, "Did you hear about the knee incident?" She said, "What?" I said, Nothing. What? And she said, "No." And that was it. Done. Not good. So basically, I did what is known in the sales world as overselling. So in the sales, I've read so many sales books over the years. Not anymore, but back in the 90s and the 2000s. And there's a thing, like, when you get a sale, that's your job done. Get the sale, process the sale. Stop trying to sell. You don't need to sell anything. You don't need to sell. I mean, you can still be positive about it and but you don't need to sell once you've sold. And if you keep going on and on and on and on, potentially the person will just get fed up and change their mind. And this is what happened in this situation. Admittedly, the dancing didn't help. And the bagpipes, I don't think they helped. I mean, you could say, why did I have bagpipes on me? But I'm saying, I always had this kind of idea, that this mentality of being prepared. You never know when you're going to need bagpipes, or skis, or a water pistol. You don't know what's going to be useful in any given situation. As it turned out, none of those things were useful in this particular situation, and haven't been particularly useful in any situation involving asking someone out for a date. Although I haven't asked anyone out for a date since 15 years, really. Pretty much. Not really, because I've met a couple of people, and it just kind of progressed from there. But I've never gone up to someone. There was someone I did ask out, and she said no. This is ironic. So there was someone I really felt I liked in the Buddhist centre, and we got on really well, and I felt a real connection with her. So I asked her out. Basically, she said, "Oh, I've got a boyfriend." I said, "Oh, you can bring him along if you like." She laughed. I think people think I'm joking sometimes. And that was it. Then I met someone else that I liked in the Buddhist centre. Then I didn't see her for ages. And then she turned up again, and that's the one that I went and had soup with, yeah? So I saw her that night. But then the other one turned up the same night. Hadn't seen either of them for months and months and months. So I'd already got reconnected with the other one, the one that ended up giving me soup, and the one that was she had a body snatched, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, that one. So this other one, the one that I had really liked before, she actually said, "Oh, we should go out sometime. I'll give you my number before we go, before we finish the evening." I said, "Oh, okay, cool." I just ignored it, because I thought, well, no, I've got a date now. You had your chance, I thought to myself arrogantly. And I never saw either of them again. Oh dear. Wow. Actually, I did see the soup lady, and I call her soup lady. She gave me, yeah, she was in the town walking. She had like a suitcase with wheels or something. It's very awkward. Just like we almost banged into each other. You're right, yeah. She started telling me where she was going, and like, why are you telling me that? I didn't say that, but I kind of thought it. So it's like, okay. Why you? See ya. And it was just like, I haven't seen her since. It's been over 15 years. Why am I still thinking about people like that? I don't know. Actually, I do know, because there's a chance I might see her again soon, depending on if she still works where she used to work. But it's only because I'm perhaps going to have to go there. But it's alright. I don't think she'd even remember me anyway, to be honest with you. I might not remember her. Then there was this other girl. When I was in the co-op, I mentioned this before, but another situation. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I've got such a different... Maybe I have a different personality when I'm on a date to what I have when I'm just myself. But I worked all day with this girl. She lived in a different town. I was 17. She was probably the same age, maybe 16. She was full-time working in the co-op, but she worked in a different town. She came just because we were short-staffed. So I think the member of staff, the reason she came in, because the member of staff that was there got sacked for stealing. She got caught by the undercover police. She was the manager, so she got sacked. So they needed someone else to come in and just look after the tills and stuff. And there was 2 tills, or was it 3 tills? I can't remember. Anyway, me and her got on really well. Like, really well. And she was perfect for me in so many ways. Like, she was funny, she laughed at my silly jokes, I fancied her, and I'm sure she was besotted with me. Why wouldn't she be? And she was sitting quite close to me, so my smell didn't put her off. So that's, there's a lot of bonuses there. And I didn't hold in any farts, still let them go. So, and we arranged to see each other. Gave me an address, a telephone number, and planned for me to go round hers the next day. So this was on a Saturday, and I went round hers on a Sunday. In fact, we might have even spent 2 days together, Friday and Saturday, like at work. We got on so well, we were laughing all day long. Honestly, I had a really good time. So I go round her house. The idea is to go out somewhere. I mean, I was limited, bearing in mind that I didn't have much money, but it wasn't just that. I couldn't go into pubs and get served because I looked about 15, maybe 14 even. I looked much younger than I was. And so it probably would have been just like walking around the streets. That probably would have been the date. Maybe a restaurant, Indian restaurant or Chinese restaurant or something. Potentially. But it was a Sunday afternoon. Now, back in 1987, or was it? No, it's early 1988. About April, May, June time, May. On a Sunday afternoon, nothing was open. Like, you'd struggle to get anything. The pubs had a Sunday times, so they'd be open for a couple of hours at lunchtime, and they'd open again in the evening for a few hours. There was no all-day drinking like there is now, ever, not even during the week. You could only buy things like alcohol and cigarettes and stuff during certain times of the day. I know, it's weird, isn't it? But that's how it used to be. On a Sunday, the only shops that really opened, no supermarkets did, the only shops that opened back then, where I lived anyway, I'm sure it's different in London, but where I lived at the time, it was the newsagents would open in the morning to sell the newspapers, the Sunday newspapers, and maybe there might be a couple of you might get some tourist stuff is open on the seafront, so cafes and stuff, they'd be allowed to be open on a Sunday because it's touristy, isn't it? And the not casinos, but like the arcades and the pier and those kinds of things, they'd be open on a Sunday during the day. But that would be it. The ice cream hut would be open during the summer on a Sunday. But then nothing else. Nothing would be open. So I went to this town, the next town up from where I lived, got a taxi there, or maybe I got a train and I got a taxi to our house from the train, possibly. But there was nothing to do. But we didn't even get that far, because I was thinking maybe go to the cinema in the evening, because the cinemas were open in the evening, I'm pretty sure, on a Sunday. I think they were, but I might be wrong, I don't know. Anyway, I went to her house, knocked on the door, went in, and I genuinely had no expectations of anything nice happening. I just wanted to spend some time with her because I liked her, and we had such a good time at work, laughing all day, you know. That was all it was, just to have some fun, and because I enjoyed her company. So I get there, and she's not alone. She's got a friend with her, which is maybe she wanted to have someone there with her, because, you know, maybe for whatever reasons, which is fair enough. But this friend was awful, because all she did was flirt with me. Now, I know I said the word awful. In any other situation, I would not have wouldn't be bothered by that. The fact that she was flirting with me and she was pop clocking, as they say, me. She really got in the way, and she started sitting on my lap. And because I didn't know what to do in that situation, I didn't want to sort of be horrible to her, didn't want to be verbally rude, I didn't want to physically push her off, so I did kind of push her off, but it was kind of a weird one, isn't it? It's like at the time, I just didn't know what to do. But the girl that I was visiting, it was her house, she was very, very annoyed with me. Not with her friend, but with me. And in the end, I just left, got a taxi home, and that was the last time I saw her. I mean, I'd handle that situation much differently now. I wouldn't go around her house now. I mean, she hasn't seen me for 40 years, so she probably wouldn't remember me. Probably doesn't even live there anymore. But no, I wouldn't. Unless I knew someone, I wouldn't probably go around their house unless I knew them well, or, yeah. But I think technically go around someone's house on a first date, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe. I mean, yeah, I'm talking like I'm going to have another first date. I don't know. Maybe. It's possible. Maybe. I don't know. But her friend really got in the way, And I didn't understand why. It's not like I left and her friend was running after me. JJ, JJ, don't leave me. You know, it wasn't like she was so into me that she followed me all the way home. The friend I'm talking about, she was just doing it to wind her friend up, to wind the girl that I was visiting. And the girl I was visiting, I really liked. Arguably the one I liked the most during that period. Because I liked her physically, but she was funny. And we had a good time. It was like being almost like being attracted to a friend, which hasn't really happened in my life. Not really, not much. Well, occasionally, but that's enough about Dean. Yeah, that was annoying because she just, because for me, I was very shy around females that I liked. And for some reason, she made it very easy for me to just be myself. So I could just be silly. But I guess we were both different because she was at home, she was in a different environment. I was well out of my comfort zone because I was in someone else's house and in a different town. And I remember saying to me, she said, what's all this got to do with animals being on trial? I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you're supposed to be taught about animals being on trial. You only got up to number 22 on the list of 100, and you started talking about girlfriends and ex-girlfriends that didn't end up being girlfriends, which basically has got nothing to do with animals being on trial. How did you manage to move from one subject to another without even noticing you'd done it? And I answered, well, the fact that I'm mentioning it means that I have noticed, doesn't it? And she said, no, I mentioned it, you didn't mention it. I said, yeah, but anything that you mention is me mentioning it, isn't it? Because it's me, I'm the one doing the talking. She said, oh, I suppose. I said, no suppose about it. It's true. And she got sulky. And now tell me, is this a weird thing, right? Oh, you know the soup lady? I'm going to call her Mrs. Soup. When we were going to go to the cinema. Well, that was kind of the plan. So I had some soup, bit of bread. I don't know where she found the bread. And I think it was one of those. I think the problem with her is she was healthy. She had a healthy lifestyle, and she had this probably gluten-free, healthy bread, and really healthy soup. And I probably didn't appreciate that at the time because there wasn't. To be fair, there wasn't much blood circulating in my brain at the time. So I wasn't really thinking straight. So we had the soup, and then we went to the cinema. The cinema was closed. Yeah, there was something going on with the cinema. If it was closed for the day, or the next movie wasn't for 3 hours, so we just left. And she said, oh, I've got to get myself a plug. And I thought, well, things are looking up. And I said, I asked her a few questions. She said, no, not that kind of plug. It's like an electric plug for the lamp. I said, oh, okay. And she said, I can't believe you just asked me that. I said, well, I didn't know. And I think things might have gone downhill from there. I'm not sure. I might not have been the right questions to ask her. And considering we was on a bus as well. So we go down this hill, we walk to the electric shop, and we decide we're going to go and get a film from Blockbusters as well. That's when Blockbusters was still alive. And we got the Karate Kid. Still haven't watched it. This is the new version. Well, not the newest version, but it was the one with Will Slappy Smith, his son Jaden, I think, and Jackie Chan. So we watched some of it. Anyway, so we got the video, then, or the DVD rather. Then we went into this electrical shop next door, which was... I can't remember the name of it, but Maplin's, I think. Maplin's? So she went in there to look for a plug, and I thought, that's boring. I'm not going to bother with looking for a plug, especially if it's just a plug, electrical one. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to have a wander around. I'll see you, you know. She said, okay. I went to look at the microphones just to see what they got in there. Because occasionally I used to get stuff from there to try and improve the quality of the recordings. I don't know why that's funny. I never seem to manage to do very well with the quality, but it's better now anyway. So, I get a phone call. My phone rings. So I answer the phone and it says, "Where are you?" That's the first thing I heard. So what do you mean, where am I? I'm here. I said, "Who is this?" He said, "It's Soup Lady." I can't remember her name. I said, "Okay." She said, "Where were you?" I said, "I'm here. I'm walking up the hill." She said, "What?" And I realised I'd left the shop without her. I'd forgot I was with her. So I'd looked at the microphones, nothing there. I just walked out of the shop and started walking home. Completely forgot I was with her, and she was the other side of the shop looking for plugs and probably queued up to pay for it. And then she finishes and she's looking for me. So 10 minutes later, she's like, "Where's the bloke that I came in here with?" That didn't seem to help the romance. So I said, "Well, do you want me to wait here?" She said, "No, can you come back down?" I said, "No, I'll just wait here, you just catch me up." And that possibly didn't help with the romantic situation either. Mind you, I was a little bit put off because earlier in the evening, or the afternoon, we were walking through the park, heading our way towards the Blockbusters, and I kind of held her hand. I did hold her hand, because I thought at that point we were not married, but I thought maybe, because of all the conversation previously during the week building up to this and talking about having babies together and getting married and, stuff like that, every night for the whole week leading up to the Sunday, including the previous Saturday evening. So just like 15 hours ago, we were being all soppy on the phone. And I know she slopped me up. She served me some sloppy soup and a bit of bread, which I don't know where that came from. And I was like, okay, maybe that's what she eats. And as I said, she was healthy, so that was probably something that she would have for food. You class that as food. No sausages, no cakes, no chocolate. I don't know what's wrong with her, but hey, everyone's different, aren't they? So I'm thinking, well, we still decided to go and go and do a. What did we do? Did we walk through the park? Walk through the park. Yeah. Yeah, after that. So after the soup fiasco, we walked through the park, and I just went to hold her hand. I kind of thought that she would know, and we would kind of maybe accidentally touch each other's hands, and that spark would ignite a love affair that lasted forever. Just something simple like that. There was no spark. All there was annoyance from her. So I kind of held her hand, and she didn't like say, "Get off me!" She wasn't vomiting in a bush or anything, but it was just very much like that. And it's like, okay. I mean, again, I just want to express that there was a lot of romance leading up to this moment, I thought. So it wasn't like I hadn't just met her. I'd known her for a long time. Well, probably a year, maybe. And hadn't seen her for quite a few months. But we'd been speaking on the phone for a couple of weeks leading up to this. So I'm extending it now to 2 weeks rather than 1 week. And I thought she loved me, so I thought maybe put my hand out to hold her hand, and she pushed me away. I mean, she didn't push me in the pond, but she did have her distance, and she said she didn't like doing stuff like that in public. Yeah, ironically, when we were back at her place, when we came back and we were watching The Karate Kid, she touched my ear. And I didn't push her away. I thought it was very strange. I thought, of all the places that you could touch, my ear isn't the one that I would choose, would not be at the top of the list. But I didn't push her away. I didn't go, "Ugh, get off my ear. Ugh, not in public or private or anywhere. Ugh, it's my ear. Ugh." No, I didn't do that. At least I don't think I did that. Mind you, if I did do that, that would explain why she didn't want to see me again. No, I didn't do that. But I realised there was nothing there. She was playing with my ear, and I thought, I'm not a toy, I mean, firstly, I'm not a toy to play with, and I'm not a toy that you can just switch on and off. I... And then I left. I went home, and the next day I bought her some gifts and left it outside her house. That wasn't a good idea, because then she sent me a text saying, "Go away." Well, maybe not those words, but... So even at 40, yeah, I was 40 at this point, I did not have the first idea how to deal with relationships. Now, I'm 50, nearly 55. In 5 weeks, I'll be 55. Vinny's snoring. And weird. Like, okay, I still don't really know. I wouldn't know what to do on a date now. I wouldn't even know. I mean, I have been out with people over the years, but not anyone that was like, I've not met anyone that's like, wow, I really want to be with this person, and asked them out and they said yes, and been all nervous about a date and gone out and it's gone really well. In fact, I think arguably I can say that's never happened. Yeah, I've never been on a date with someone that I really was. I've dated people that I got on with and went on dates with them, but I never had that. I've never asked anyone out really that I really liked, or maybe a couple of times. Not that I didn't like the people I was dating, but yeah, sort of going on a first date with someone that I didn't know anything about, but I was absolutely besotted in love with the person. No, never done that. No. I've got to like people a bit more over time. I think that's, and they do, yeah. Hmm. So if I had my time over again, I've been thinking about stuff like that lately. It's like, okay, what would I do different? And I think back to there's so many things. My stomach needs to eat some food, and that does not include soup. If I put soup in my belly now, my belly would go, no, no, Bernie, no. Soup, not allowed. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I suppose one thing is, I would never have stopped the karate when I was 15, 16. I'd have continued. I wouldn't have worked in a chip shop as my first job. I'm very croaky today. I should get a drink. Oh, so smooth and silky again. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Just a little bit of lubrication, and I got my normal voice back again. Oh, sorry. So yeah, I can't remember what I was talking about, but I do need to eat something. So I'm gonna go. And I realise I haven't really done all of the what's the names? What is it? What am I doing? Q&A Thursday. I've not done all of them, but I might go through some of them again another time. See if I can find some weird ones. Okay, let's have a look. No. Oh, apparently one lawyer refused to take on a case for a rooster. Refused to represent a rooster. I think I've heard roosters are a bit of a pain. Judicial transcripts detail animals' behaviour as evidence. Wow. Okay. Princess of Wales plaque now removed in London for brown dog statue. That better not be true. That better not true. You've replaced a plaque for Princess Diana for a picture or a statue of a dog, a brown dog. Now, I don't know enough about this, but that sounds... Sounds wrong. Sounds wrong. Ah. Wow, my stomach's gurgling. It's just time to eat, so I'm going to go. Thank you for listening to my super exciting discourse on humanities and such and such. So thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. Lots of love. Bye.